Good morning, everyone. It's Cynthia with your daily tarot card of the day. This week we're using the Herbal Tarot, and I have information about this deck in the description box below. So I'm going to take a moment while I shuffle the cards to tune into the collective general energy of the day and tune into spirit and see what messages would like to come through for us about today's energy. These messages are timeless, so whenever you happen to find this video and you're inspired to watch, there's likely a message here for you. But take what resonates and leave the rest of it behind. If it's not your message, it's not your message. If it is your message, then I'm glad it's here for you. I invite you all to tune in, of course, to your own intuition, your own inner guidance, higher self, spirit guides, however you relate to it, so that whatever card comes up, you can focus on it and maybe get your own personal messages and insights. We've got the World with Comfrey. Even though I'm pretty sure, I'm not an herbalist, even though I'm pretty sure that they are two different plants, Comfrey to me carries an energy almost like of all heal, and all heal is a different plant, but all heal is also a common name used to describe, I think I've seen it on a couple of different plants. But when I look to Comfrey, it does have an all-encompassing effect on a lot of different ailments in terms of home remedy. And so to see Comfrey on the World card, it gives me this sense of holistic, not just big picture, but understanding how the different parts are interrelated in the big picture. And usually with the ego mind, whether it's the logical ego mind or whether it's the creative ego mind, we usually don't see, the way forward or where we've been without being the ego mind, the creative ego mind is looking forward. So we're imagining these possibilities. We're receiving these this vision, and the logical mind is trying to figure out how to get from where we are to where we want to be. But the logical ego mind can really only interpret current processing based on past experience. So the entire cliche of hindsight is 2020, well, that's the reason why that is because the logical ego mind cannot see how something works until they're looking back at how it has worked. And the creative ego mind, it has a certain sense of visionary and imagination and innovation, which can bring the logical mind forward. And that's when we get stuck in our heads about how is something going to work, or where is this going to go, or, what's the next step to take and what are the consequences of those steps? Is it going to have the desired result? It could go wrong and all of this stuff. So when we get in our heads It's our creative ego mind and our logical ego mind, right brain, left brain, okay? Kind of trying to make sense of stuff. And what this card is saying with this sort of all-encompassing and very holistic sort of big picture thing is almost like taking a step back to a space of neutral, maybe a space of like inner connectedness. Again, just like I invite you at the beginning of every video to connect with your own intuition, higher self, right? Get out of the ego mind. I don't care if it's logical or if it's creative. Center yourself. Go higher than that to the big picture. Almost like I'm getting like hawk and eagle medicine, right? In terms of power animals. It's like rising above, but having that vision, being able to see. So I'm getting this combination of really being able to see the details and the moving parts, but from a big picture vantage point to see how each individual thing interrelates and interconnects and how that's all okay. And so there's also like an encouragement coming through of recognizing that it is all okay, and what you think is a blockage might be simpler than it seems, or might not be a blockage at all, because because it's functioning as part of the whole for the time being. That doesn't mean that certain things aren't challenges. It doesn't mean that certain things don't need to be changed, right? We might need to look at a spot and see, gee, is there too much resistance there? Not enough flow? Is there too much friction there? Do we need to soothe that? But it's still, that piece of the big picture is still working and doing what it's supposed to do. It's just, it might not be doing it as smoothly as we would like. So we think that it's a blockage, we think that it's a problem or a challenge, but really, we can, when we get that big picture view and we see how it's working, then we can see what adjustments we need to make. So I don't know if there's a particular, this could apply to particular projects you have going on, either in your personal life or your professional life. This could have to do with certain relationships or communicating with others, or, trying to make connections or make plans, trying to, bring in more connections, more resources, more information, right? The whole thing. So what Spirit really wants us to do with this World card and this Comfrey and kind of looking at the big picture and taking that holistic view is to have that step back moment today so that we can see how everything is working, and that when we hone in on identifying those detailed portions of, oh, that's not really broken. Oh, there's a little too much friction over there. Oh, there's that spot of resistance. We can not only see how these individual parts are functioning in the whole, but before we make any hasty decisions or take some impulsive actions, we can also see, oh, I don't need to rip out the whole thing and replace it. I just need to add, a little lubricant for, a smoother flow. You know what I mean? Where there's resistance, right? I keep seeing pictures of like pistons and engines and stuff like that. But it's that same concept. And so they're pretty much saying like, don't make mountains out of molehills, recognize what is there, that's good, but you don't have to tackle it like it's the only thing. You need to see how it's fitting into the whole thing, because that's what's going to guide you to pinpoint the correct space that needs to be shifted or pivoted or changed or, soothed into a smoother flow. So it's not about not taking action, and it's not about denying that something's happening, but it's about taking that big picture stance that allows you to see the full working part and the details, and recognizing then what the correct action is in terms of moving something along, expanding it, making it better, overcoming a challenge, diverting an obstacle. You'd get a more correct diagnosis of the situation, a better idea. And the ego mind, again, whether it's the creative mind or whether it's the logical mind, the ego mind needs to take a back seat until your spirit can give you clearer direction as to what's really going on. And then you can envision your possibilities and your solutions and sort of work out the steps and do the math. It would make more sense rather than spinning yourself in circles, right and left brain arguing with one another, projecting, displacing, and, trying to take too much control. So today really does seem to be a very big picture day, holistic, and healing. There's a healing energy here because it brings us peace and calm. It doesn't matter if we're working on a project at work or if we're working with other people or if it's something to do with the home or our friendships or families or even just our personal selves in terms of our motivations, our intentions, our projects, what we're working on for ourselves. What it really comes down to is take a look at the big picture so that you're pinpointing the correct thing and that you're seeing the adjustments you really need to make, because it doesn't have to be harder than it actually is. So Spirit is asking you to use today's energy to take that big picture step and just pinpoint the things that need your attention and not run yourself ragged, spinning in circles. And that's what brings healing and smooth flow to the situations. So with that, I wish you all a wonderful, blessed day. Peace and blessings. Lots of healing. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.